My name is Akila, and this is The Black Man's Redemption. In this podcast, we talk with real Black men on issues that affect Black men on a whole. Let the healing begin.
All right, blessings everyone, and welcome back to the Black Man's Redemption podcast. With our first interview after so long. This is my brother, Sankofa Nyame. Sankofa, thank you so much for being here.
I'm grateful to be here.
Thank you. I'm so grateful for you to be here and as our honored first guest.
Ashe.
Yeah, so as you know, this season is about polygamy versus Gyalisism. And as a woman living in Jamaica, of Jamaican parentage,
right.
We see a lot of I see a lot of Gyalisism.
Yeah.
We see this, and it's not limited to Jamaica and the Caribbean. But I guess my first question is, what do you consider Gyalisism? Let's define this for the audience.
Okay, all right. And I was thinking about this just yesterday too. As I was thinking about coming on here. First, I want to say I give thanks that you have me on this platform, because a long time I talked about this, So we give thanks. But I was thinking about it because for me and my identification with the term, I never really give it such a negative light. But when you put it in the perspective versus healthy polygamy, then we have to really define it in a different way, So to me, in this context, I would say Gyalisism is when a man really play with woman's heart. He entertain woman, but he don't really want to maintain a woman. You know what I mean? On a deeper level, it's more just a sexual thing, and it's more just to fulfill an urge, but it's not really a connection thing. That's where a lot of broken families come from. Whereas polygamy, more time is more of a understanding, an understanding where everyone knows what's going on. I think that's the difference between Gyalisism and polygamy, because in polygamy, everyone knows what's going on. It's upfront, it's truth, it's a conversation that's had ahead of time where people have a common understanding. So I would say that's how I separate the two.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I think when I think about it as well, it's a lot about trust and respect. Because when you're here in Jamaica, and every man wants, it seems like every man wants to be a gallus. Every man wants to have bag of woman here and there at their disposal. Not that they are in service to these women in any way, just to service the women. And when you hear the boys talking about gallus, you want to be a gallus, that man, they're a gallus. What I get from it is that you have a situation which you may not have like a steady woman yourself. You may or may not have a steady woman yourself, but you're, as you said, just playing. It's not even playing, because of some of these women know what's going on and they're just going along with it. To me, it feels like you have all of these sexual relationships all over the place. A lot of times it doesn't go any deeper. You might financially throw a little money here, throw a little money there, but you have this, essentially what's a harem, without the protocols that might surround a traditional harem or anything. It's just, it is what it is type of energy.
Yeah, and I think that's what separates it, because with polygamy, I think the difference is that there's more structure. There's more of an established order. And like you said, that big thing, trust and respect, those big things, because more time when you see the gallus, they're not really care for the woman, you know what I mean? And don't really consider the woman. It's just like you say, a use type of thing. It's a use situation. Like you say, service but no serving. You know what I mean? Yeah, I like when you say that. So it's like that. I think polygamy has a lot more structure. Yeah.
Yeah. I always think there was a point I wanted to make, but I forgot it.
Take
But yeah,
time.
it's sad when you know, it feels like the men just want to gravitate towards this, and I don't know why. I mean, I guess a question I'd ask you as a man, as a young man growing up, not just growing up, but a young man in his manhood, but also still learning. I guess you're still at the
Mm-hmm.
age where you're learning a lot. What has your observation of Gyalisism? I know that I may have one or two friends who might be in that lifestyle, you know. So what do you did you observe as a man observing Gyalisism? And if I'm not too much in your business, were you ever tempted into Gyalisism?
I think more time, most yard man go through a phase, you know. Some is not just a phase, some is a lifestyle, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that maturity and growing to engage from a place of respect and truth change everything. Like you say, respect and truth, because for me, you don't really have to lie. If you have to lie, you have to manipulate, you're not really who you think you are. You know what I mean? And for me, I definitely had times where I was entertaining a lot of women, but for me, it's like I realized that it's not really sustainable. You know, you have to maintain yourself first, and then you have to maintain one woman before you can learn to maintain multiple women. And that's where I find a lot of people make the mistake, because a lot of people are seeking out polygamy, but they don't really know how to keep and maintain one woman, much less themselves. But for me, there was a time, you know, where I was heavier into that. I wasn't really too much on it. It was more of a entertaining and connecting kind of thing. It wasn't always sexual. You know what I mean? But more so like flirtatious, you know, with multiple women kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, I would say that's my answer to your question.
Yeah. I understand that. Um, as we well before I make my second
Mm-hmm.
point, let's define polygamy now
Okay.
as much
From
as we
my
can.
understanding, yeah, from my understanding, polygamy in itself is when people are in a marriage and there's multiple partners. That's the baseline definition of it. Polygyny, more specifically, is when there's one man and there's multiple women, and they're all in a marriage and an agreement of the relationship. You know, so that's how I define that.
I would definitely agree with that. Have been very privileged to observe one polygamous marriage, as you can say, a
Mm-hmm.
polygyny is what you're saying. One man,
Polygyny,
multiple
yeah.
women. Yeah, and I
Mm-hmm.
thought it was really beautiful. Not for me, but I thought it was really beautiful the way in which there was just
They function.
yeah, you
Mm-hmm.
know, I think some of the things that we as a people, not as a people, but overall people, kind of try to run away from certain trigger words. And I think one of the trigger words we kind of run away from is hierarchy. And I'm of a mind that anywhere we have a family, where you have a community of people, there's going to be a certain hierarchy. However, the hierarchies can still
Mm-hmm.
be somewhat fluid. And my
Mm-hmm.
observation was that, you know, when you have multiple wives, they're going to kind of settle their not pecking order, but their order. They're going to settle their order, and it needs to be you know, acknowledged and harmonious, and it needs to fit and it needs to make sense. You know, this woman is
Mm-hmm.
an older woman, so she's going to obviously have more to maybe teach the younger woman, and
Mm-hmm.
she's known more, she knows more about maybe childhood because she already had her child or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And the younger woman can maybe look up to her in a sort of mentorship, older sister type of way.
Mm-hmm.
So my thought is maybe one of the many reasons um, women may shy away in the West, shy away from polygyny, might be because they don't want to end up lower in rank in the
Mm-hmm.
pecking order. And
Mm.
What do you think about that? I guess my second question is, what are the roles in a polygynous or polygamous relationship?
So for me personally, my understanding of polygamy slash polygyny and my understanding of marriage in general, I think this is we have to connect it in that context, right? Purpose. I'm coming from a traditional African perspective, West Central African perspective, and generally in the continent in general. I'm an African-centered person, so that's where I'm coming from in my perspective. And when you really check marriage in the continent, it's always based on purpose. It's always based in purpose. That's why people come together. It's a coming together of families, and it's a coming together of a shared vision and a shared purpose. So within that, when two people, a man and a woman, first establish the purpose, anyone coming into that union is adding on to that vision, adding on to that purpose, adding on to that mission. So they already understand their role within that dynamic, you know? And for me personally, looking at it, it doesn't necessarily have to be a strict level of hierarchy. I believe that a younger woman could teach an older woman as well. The older woman could teach the husband as well. Like there's a flow of mutual lessons and mutual teaching. But yeah, that's what I would say when it comes to that when we talk about the order.
That makes sense.
Mm.
That makes sense. Yeah. I definitely feel like it would be fluid. Where there is lessons to be learned, there's just lessons to be learned. Or if someone just
Mm-hmm.
happens to have more experience in something, you know. But I love how you mentioned purpose and the purpose for coming together, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's everything.
So, which question am I going to ask next? It's like,
Hmm.
what is the purpose of multiple women? Why do men want multiple women? I guess that's the first question. Why do men want multiple women? And what is the purpose then for polygamy? Why not just have one wife and done?
Okay, so I can't speak for anybody else. I can only speak for myself. Now, right now, I am a single man and I have no woman at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
But something that I know is that I have a great vision, I have a great mission, and I have a great purpose. And my purpose is African liberation and sovereignty of our people and building our community and healing my lineage and building a healthy family. I know that this is my purpose. So I know within my life at some point or another, it may be, and I never really say it in a certain way because it's not something that I'm necessarily seeking, but it may be something that's necessary just based on there's not, it's a very interesting pool of men. So I'm not gonna say it's a very interesting pool of men, and it's only so many, ones and ones. So if my purpose is building a healthy family and expanding a family and reproducing certain type of characters, certain type of spirits, certain type of people, it may expand past just one woman,
Mm-hmm. For sure.
you know, and that's the way that I see it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about anybody else, but that's just how I see it.
Yeah. I think when we look in African societies, traditional societies, one of the things that um, encourages marriages is, I mean, you have dowries and you have bride prices. That's an exchange
Mm-hmm.
of resources between the families who are engaged in this contract, because it is a contract.
Mm-hmm.
Um, not necessarily in the legal way that it is in the West, but it is a
Social.
spiritual contract and a social
Yeah,
contract.
spiritual, yeah.
Spiritual,
True.
exactly. So that kind of segues into one of my other points is that in polygamy versus Gyalisism, I feel like there is always the question, and this is a question regardless of the type of relationship, but a question that always I think is important is resources, the access of
Mm-hmm.
resources.
Mm-hmm.
Because and I hate to say it this way, but you'll hear in Jamaica and I'm sure in different ways in other places, don't take up no broke man. as a woman. Your mother's been telling you, don't take up no broke man. And of course, broke doesn't necessarily just mean no money, but no ambition, nothing about him. And I think that, so, how do you have a broke Gallus? That doesn't make sense, but that is why it's Gyalisism.
Exactly.
Right. So
yeah,
tell me first about the concept of like how you be broke and be wanting all these women, and what are you going to do with them?
I think that's when people have desire and they have lust, but they don't channel that into ambition and a vision. And a lot of people try to take up a woman before they take care of themselves, you know. And I think that that's a common mistake that men make in our developmental stage, even myself. And that's why I step back from relationship for a while, to make sure that I'm secure. Because, you know, you can have feelings and you can catch a vibe, but a vibe only lasts for a time. You know what I mean?
That's
Before there's a structure that's needed, and the structure has to be supported by more than just the vibes and the feelings and the chemistry. You know what I mean? And that's where resources come in. And the problem is that a lot of men are looking for relationships, not just with one woman, but multiple women, and I have no resources. You know what I mean? And that's the problem. You know, so I very much agree to that point, that to stay in a relationship, you have to have resources, and also multiple relationship, you have to have resources. So that's just, common sense. Common sense.
Yeah. When you say
Yeah.
multiple resources, I think that money is not just not the only resource you need in a
At all.
relationship.
At all.
You have to
Yeah,
have,
no.
and I think of it this way. You mentioned it before, being able to like perfect the concept of a relationship with one woman, and then polygamy multiplies that. And if you cannot maintain one woman, how are you going to maintain multiple women? Because when I think of it, what are my needs as a woman? I need you to be emotionally there for me. I need you to be to lead. I need you to have a little bit of bread so I can get my nails done, whatever. But and so many other things, you know, the emotional, the mental. I want to learn together. The spiritual, let's build spiritually, and then children have to factor into this equation. So in a polygamous relationship, there must be so much demand of a man then to emotionally and all the other leads provide for these women, and then also the children that come. Could you speak a little on that?
Like when I always speak to this subject, I always emphasize not just that a man has to have a relationship with one woman first, he has to have a relationship with himself. Because any relationship that you have outside of yourself is a reflection of the relationship you have with yourself. You know, so I think that that's the steps that a lot of men try to skip. They try to move to 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 women, but never even sit with themselves. They're not even able to face themselves and look in the mirror at themselves. You know what I mean? And sit with their life and sit with their strengths and their weaknesses, and you know, just go through those transformations that they need to go through with themselves first. You know, and that's very, 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 very key and essential when it comes to any type of relationship, much less a polygamous relationship, because there's so many lives at play or at risk, you know, when it comes to if you're not sharpening yourself. And it is a lot of demand, you know, not just physically, not just financially, but emotionally and mentally, you know. And I feel like a lot of men don't think about this because they never really sit with themselves nor gain true intimacy, not physical intimacy, emotional, spiritual, mental intimacy with a woman first. Because when you do, it's not the ideal you think about in your mind if you think about the idea of having 2, 3, 4 women. Because there's the cycles, there's the seasons, there's the different needs and wants, there's jealousy, you know, that may naturally come up, even if everybody's on board and agree. We're human beings, same time, you know what I mean? So it's a lot. It's a lot for a person to manage, and I believe that the people who can manage it healthily have to sit with themselves first. And they have to be able to create a strong relationship with themselves first, and then one woman. and understand what true intimacy is first before even expanding that out, you know? That's how I see it.
Yeah. I just had
Yeah.
a thought. I mean, like, if a man can do all that, he must be a great girl dad. Being able
Mm,
to
yeah,
being able to be steady in the flow of feminine emotions.
exactly.
That's a lot. That's
A lot of
commendable.
mental fortitude, a lot of emotional intelligence. Those are the elements that I feel like people don't talk about. People just talk about the money or the land or the food, which is necessary and essential. But the mental fortitude and emotional intelligence is another next level.
Amen. Amen. So one of the things I did want to ask about,
Mm.
because we still want to understand Gyalisism, because unfortunately it seems like Gyalisism is more popular than
Then
polygamy.
right, right.
So why? Why do men want multiple women? Why do men always want to look and see and what is not his or whatever?
I mean,
As a man, tell me your
I
secrets.
mean, you see the woman, you know, woman look good, you know. I mean, it's life, you know. I think that desire plays a part, you know. I think that I also think that one can have desire and not act on the desire. I believe that one can have attraction and not act on it. But that takes a lot of discipline still. And if you don't cultivate that discipline, and also if you have no one socially, if the society is not set up in a way where someone is checking you about that,
Mm-hmm.
there's no what is called a guardrail to stop you from going over that edge. If it's encouraged actually to have multiple women, even if you don't sustain them, who's gonna stop you from doing that?
Mm-hmm.
If you're congratulated and you're celebrated. So I think that that's a route that keeps it going,
Yeah.
you know, aside from just the desire and the lust, which is another next level of it. But I think those are some of the um causes, you know, of it.
You know, when I talk to a lot of like Afrocentric men, I'm gonna say Afrocentric presenting men, because not everybody who acts
Mm,
like they're Afrocentric for real, real.
right.
And when the subject of polygamy comes up, it always the response from the men almost seem like it is their God-given right. One of the things they cite is biology. You know, men are
Mm-hmm,
biologically,
mm-hmm,
inclined towards polygamy, and I personally somewhat agree with that, because men tend, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Let me just put that out
mm-hmm,
there, people. Just because you
mm-hmm,
can doesn't mean you should.
right.
So people always talking about the biological aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Could you give a little your opinion on the biological aspect?
Yeah, I was just thinking about this too. That's funny. Before we even came to this, I was thinking about this. I mean, the biology doesn't lie, you know. A man can plant multiple seeds and multiple women be pregnant at the same time. A woman can do the same thing. If she can, it's a rare situation.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very rare situation. But more time is the man that's able to do that. Like you say though, just because you can don't mean that you should. You know, because everything has to exist with a level of order and a level of structure and a level of guidelines. Just because a child, when they become like 13, 14, they can have sex, so now they technically can have children, don't mean that they should have children at that point in time. You know what I mean? And that's why I mentioned those guardrails and those guidelines to have before diving into that, you know.
Yeah, societal
Yeah,
boundaries and accountability.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
Because it can get messy real quick.
yeah, man.
Real quick.
And we see
Yeah.
it, unfortunately, in the Black and African uh,
Hmm.
diaspora.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much of it is in Africa itself, but when you
Mm.
say these guardrails and these boundaries, what does sexual um, responsibility look like for a man? How can men be proactive in their responsibility? Because you said you have you have the tool to plant the seed. So how do you be responsible with it?
I think that men should not seriously, or really in general, entertain a relationship if he knows that he can't take care of the woman. For one. I also think that a man shouldn't really invest in that kind of way if he's not ready to create that with a woman. Because most men look at sex, from a place of desire, from a place of lust, and don't realize that every time you have sex, there's that potential that you can have a child. And you have to take care of that child, So I think when we as men start to look from that perspective, it shifts, how we view our energy and how we view the power that we carry, So I think that that's part of it. I think another part of it is cultivating sexual discipline within yourself, so that you're not moved by everything that comes in front of you. So that you know how to, because when you think about responsibility, it's the ability to respond. You know how to respond when you're met with temptation, attraction, flirtatiousness, whatever it is that you're met with, because you will be tested. We're all beings of flesh. Even though we're beings of spirit first, we all still live in this flesh. You have these urges. So when you get that under control, that to me is sexual responsibility.
I love that. I love that. I mean,
and I could go.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I could go more into that, but I'll just leave that there for now.
Okay, yeah, man.
Yeah.
I mean, here in Jamaica, as I said, we see so much irresponsibility. I'm sure in other places, like I said, this is the only place I've lived as an adult. So, I mean, as a young woman, you're walking down the street and why? I'm called to you so much in so many different type of ways, from the Empress, you look nice, to the less things I'm not going to see on the internet.
Right.
And
we know, we hear,
right? And it just seems like there's a real scattershot method to trying to get with a woman. And I don't know, I feel like there could be a little more. There really must be some way to talk to the youths and, say like, that's not game, my friend, that's not game.
Yeah.
Get them to be more intentional with it. And I feel like if they cultivate some amount of intentionality, that will definitely reduce that. But one more thing I wanted to say about the Gyalisism is, what does a Gyalisism create? And you said, like, every time you have sex is the potential to have a child. And unfortunately, that sometimes it does end up being the case. When you hear about some old Gyalis, they have like what's his name? Ninja Man. What do you say?
22, no, 23, baby mother.
And 22, yes, exactly. Right? And that's crazy.
That's very crazy. That's
what
very crazy.
Time? An elephant man saying he have how much in pitney?
Right.
You cannot maintain 20 odd pitney. I mean, theoretically, if all your wives were in one space and all the children was in one space, I mean, maybe you could, but when that baby mother over there, so, and that baby mother over there, so, and that baby mother don't like that baby mother.
Yeah.
I don't think these men truly understand or don't see so much further than themselves and their lust in that moment, that they are creating a broken home. So yeah, I just want to talk about the consequences of Gyalisism a little bit.
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, a lot of broken home, because really and truly, like I say, going back to where it comes from, the Gyalisism, it's the desire, it's the lust, it's the temptation, it's the not mastering your sexual desires. So from just following those sexual desires, that's where you're not thinking about the long term. You're just thinking about the short term pleasure, but you're leaving long term effects.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't even know if you love this girl because you don't know the whole of her soul.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You never really even sit that deep with it. You know, and within that, you've now started a life to where that's your child's mother now,
Mm-hmm. And you're
and
stuck
you
with
don't
her.
even exactly, you know, to a degree for the rest of your life, or you abandon the picnic. And if you do that, broken home, same way, you know. So it has some very, very serious effects, and that's what makes it a problem.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's really what makes it a real problem, because the children are the ones who suffer from the consequences of it. You
Yeah.
know, the man has his fun, and you know he goes home and goes on with his life, but the woman is there suffering, and the child is there suffering. You know, and that's the long-term effects and damage of it. This is why when I speak about polygyny and polygamy, there has to be a certain way that you do it. And I believe that there's many prerequisites and precedents and requirements that one has to pass through to even be able to be eligible of that, because it is such a big responsibility, you know?
I do
So
agree with
yeah.
that. I do agree with that. There has to be some manhood training, rites of passage to
Mm-hmm.
have each wife,
Mm-hmm.
to get each
From
wife
one, from number one.
from number one right up. And you have to sit
Yeah.
there with that woman's father.
Mm-hmm.
That might discourage.
Straight.
Listen, when I was
Straight.
when I was a young girl and I had my little boyfriend, my father put the cutlass on the hood of the car and sit on the veranda. I look on him,
Mm-hmm.
so man,
Mm-hmm.
Fred. And I think that is
Mm-hmm.
healthy because if these fathers put the fear of God into some of these boys,
It's true.
yeah, yeah. So how can women be okay with polygamy? Like, I think one of the reasons that women get their back up a lot about it
Mm-hmm.
is because we're so used to Gyalisism. And oftentimes in language, they almost want to equate the two or use them interchangeably. So,
Mm-hmm.
how can women be a little more okay with it by its definition and such?
Mm. Let me see with that. Mm. I honestly think that number one is not for everyone. Number one, man and woman, it's not for everyone. And using those certain baselines of the type of man that they're dealing with is very important. You know, any man who is not emotionally intelligent, who is not, who doesn't have a strong mental fortitude, and who does not have the right resources shouldn't be thinking about polygamy. He
Mm-hmm.
should be doing that work on himself first, right? So I think that vetting a partner, vetting the man is important. I also think that there's open-mindedness is everything, and being open, but also, like I say, the right man, because those principles have to be intact before anything. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that people should just try. I mean, people can do what they want to do. I'm not here to control nobody's life, but I don't think that people should. I don't think that it'd be healthy or sustainable, you know, to try to entertain polygamy without having that structure in place first, you know. So I think outside of that though, women can just become more open-minded with it, understanding that it is possible for someone to love two people at the same time, um, and be open-minded in that way. There is I want to say her name correctly. There's a sister that a elder woman that talks about this. Her name is Shahrazad Ali. I want to say if I'm saying it correctly, Shahrazad Ali.
Okay.
Um, she speaks a lot about it. I believe she wrote a whole entire book about it, because it's a real thing, you know, when it comes to Black women not being open to it because of colonialism and also because of men's irresponsibility, you know. So yeah, I would say Shahrazad Ali. When I remember how to spell it, I'll send it to you and then we can,
Yeah, I'll put it
edit
on
it in.
put it on the
Yeah,
video.
right. Sure. Yeah, I believe she has a book written for Black women to that specific topic.
So when women hear polygamy, some of us want to be like, well, if the shoe was on the other foot, what about polyandry? What are your thoughts on polyandry?
I think that this is where it gets very funny and it gets very sticky. It gets very sticky because
Yeah.
I don't want to sound like I'm pushing a double standard, right? I want to make that as the preface for what I'm saying. But, and at the same time, I don't think that women can handle it in the same kind of way just because of the dynamics of how energetically the womb works versus how, the penis work. It's a different thing because the womb is receptive to energy and it holds memory and it holds energy of all the partners that you're with. So for that to work, the two men they would have to be of the same frequency, you know, and one of them would have to take the lead, which most men would not do. It's very few men that would do that or allow that to happen. So there's that element of it. It can get more complex because men have a naturally more competitive energy. So it's more likely to create competition and war, than it is collaboration. Now it could be that could be worked on, that could be worked through, but I just know like studying social dynamics that don't work. More time, it don't work, but it can be done and it is being done by some people out here in this world. I
Yeah.
don't want to,
I
yeah.
know that it is a tradition. Where is it? It's either like in the Andes region or Mongolian region. I know that they do practice that, but the reason being for that, and I hope Instagram made link. No, did I read it in a book? I can't remember where I read it. The reason they do this is because there's so little, land that they can do enough with, for pasture land, for their needs. So when the land is passed down through the sons, it's hard if you have multiple sons to split that land, and you split that land and split it land, and you get like a parcel at the end of several generations. So I think their practice is that one girl from one family marries all the brothers. So when you said about the men needing to be on a same or similar frequency, that's kind of what popped into my mind because these are brothers, brothers of the womb, and now they are what do you call it? Brother husbands now.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I am more accepting of polygyny than polyandry because just what you're saying that to me the biology does not science in the reverse.
Yeah.
Like I know as a woman when I'm in a relationship, I mean, yeah, I find a guy cute or whatever, but further than that, I have nothing.
Yeah.
All I see is my man.
Right.
Men not necessarily the same way. They're like, oh wow, they see a little bit more, regardless of whether or not they move to it. But I'd have to not be in love with somebody for me to gravitate sexually more than just a passing light flirtation. And I just feel like for women to be trying to do that, men and women are not the same. That is at the end of the day, men and women are not the same. We complement each other for so many reasons,
That's
and we
right.
are not
That's
the
right.
same.
Yeah, that's right.
But what about polyamory? Because I don't know much about polyamory. But I
Okay.
always thought it was like what was the word I was thinking of? Like proper or considerate Gyalisism? Like, I don't know, how invested are you in, how invested is a partner in polyamory versus polygamy or polygyny?
Okay, I want to speak to polyandry just for a second too, because you said something. A woman would not really have to be in love with a man to do that. I agree, and I think also another layer and level of it is a certain level of detachment, dissociation, and disconnection from your own body and your own womb as well. Because the womb holds so much energy, and I said that before, but I just gonna say it again. It holds so much energy, so much memory, even down to the DNA of a man. You know what I mean? So when there's two men, it can literally, and I've seen it, it can create war in the womb, you know, and confusion mentally and spiritually for the woman that's holding both of those energies if those men are not on the same page, you know. And to be honest and transparent, I'm speaking from experience of being in that situation in the past.
Yeah.
You know, and I've seen it play out, you know, so that's why I say that. But as for polyamory, from my observation is more of a newer thing. You know, it's more of a newer, it's not really rooted in tradition, which is fine in itself. You know, for me, being more on, I'm a traditionalist, but not, I'm a traditionalist, but also it has to make sense. You know what I mean? Not just doing things for the sake of tradition's sake. But I say that to say, with polyamory, that's for people who are just more free flowing with their love. You know, I find that there's a level of transparency, there's a level of respect, there's a level of trust, there's a level of truth, you know, and as long as that's present, I mean, morally to me, that's okay. You know what I mean? I'm not here to judge nobody's life and, you know, say how them want to run them house. That's them house. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, I just think it's more ethical than just, you know,
out here doing a thing.
Yeah, out here doing whatever. Yeah, nah.
Yeah, it's so funny. Last night we were listening to this song by Vanessa Bling. What's it called? I can't remember what it's about, but it's basically she's saying, you know, she's the wife and the other girl is whatever. And yeah, he's dealing with you, but I'm the wife. I get everything. You get a little box food. I get the big fish. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, before you get your back up against that, like, that could work. If you're cool with it, that could work. Because like you said, it's about the respect and the transparency. And I know a lot of women, they would put up with a lot as long as like actual cheating and stuff, as long as like their name isn't dragged out anywhere. You know what I mean? And I think I always said the biggest thing for me, I might forgive a man, me no know, might forgive a man for misstepping. If my name is not drawn out nowhere, because you know I very prideful. I don't want my name out nowhere. Don't want this girl talking about me. And yes, my take man. No, that's a big no. So I was thinking about that song. It's like, if he can ensure that, you know, his affairs are not gonna get back to the nest, he don't bring home no baby, no STD, no nothing like that, and she's good with it. And I think it kind of soothes it a little bit if he's giving her nice gifts and all whatever, because that's what the song was talking about. He gives me everything in life and he loves me. You're just a little one and done. Yeah, I to me that was a version of polyamory.
Yeah, it is. A lot of people unknowingly practice polyamory, and that's really what it is. It's just the fact that people don't want to come to terms with openly accepting that. They'll accept it if it happens, but people don't want to agree to that. And that's why a lot of people end up cheating, and a lot of people do things behind the back and all of these things, not supporting it and not condoning it when I say that, just giving the reasoning behind it. Yeah, but that's why a lot of people end up doing that. And people unknowingly engage in a polyamory, not knowing. But if it was more upfront, people would, you know, it's the same thing. It's really the same thing. It's really the same thing.
It is what it is. I mean, not it is what it is, but it is what it is with protocols.
Yeah, I have the protocol.
You gotta have the protocol.
Yeah.
So, like, I think I'm personally done with my questions. Do you have anything else to share?
Let me think. All I would say is just, whatever you do, to anybody who's a gallus out there, or potentially polygamous, we hope you are more on the side of polygamous polygyny after this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Just be ethical, and don't play with people's hearts. Don't play with people's feelings. Have a purpose and have a structure to what you're doing. And work on yourself first and foremost. Because when you really sit with yourself and you do that work, you might find that you might just be good with just one woman.
Mm-hmm.
And that's enough. Don't do things out of just, it may look good or it may just seem good or just may satisfy me for a time or whatever. Think of purpose. Think of long term. Think of longevity. Think of a vision. Because your life is not just for you.
Mm-hmm.
And your life and your actions don't just affect you, especially when we talk about sex and we talk about relationships and we talk about starting families and all of this. It has an impact and an influence on the next generations that follow.
Yep.
So I would just say to the ones that's watching, just keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind. And be ethical and be moral, because we need more healthy, strong homes.
Yes.
Not broken families. So if you have a healthy home and it's monogamous, we love it because it's healthy. If it's polygamous, we love it because it's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But we just need more healthy homes, So if you can't sustain it or you can't maintain it, don't pursue it. And that's all I would say to the people.
Don't be like Ninja Man.
Don't be like Ninja Man. Big up Ninja Man same way,
Big up Ninja Man still, but not really a role model right now.
Yeah, maintain the baby mother and the picnic. If you're gonna have 22, maintain
try
them.
to get them in one place so you can see your children.
Exactly. See the children, take care of the children,
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I would say. But
all
yes,
right.
I give thanks for you. I look forward to being back on this podcast. I give thanks for this. I like the vision of this podcast. I like the mission that you're on. Just keep forward, keep solid on this path and on your work. And I give thanks again.
All right,
and
thank you.
Anybody who looking for me, find me everything at Sankofa Nyame, on Instagram, YouTube, etc. Sankofa Nyame. My links will be in the bio. Yeah.
Yes. We'll make sure and drop the links, and please reach out. Do you want people to reach out to you though?
Reach out.
Reach out to our brother and tell him what a great job he did. Tell him what a great job he did today. And yeah, make the connects, build community, because we're all about building community and reaching as many as possible.
Yeah. Give thanks every time.
Yes. So blessings, brother. Have a great day.
Yeah, likewise.
This has been another episode of the Black Man's Redemption. If you have any questions or comments or want to pose a new topic, leave a message for us on one of our podcasting platforms or leave a comment or direct message at our Instagram at Black Man's Redemption. We'd like to thank our guests for their contributions and our listeners for their questions. Now is the time for healing. Let it begin.